Hello and welcome to 3 on 3, where three friends get together each week and talk about three topics on pop culture that's happened over the past week. And I'm myself and Marty, along with usual co-host Matt and Nick, who's usually here, is on vacation this weekend. So we have a very special guest stepping in, David Waybright, who you may know from the Tony Award-winning show Man vs. Meeple.
It is David, Tony. Thank you very much. It is Tony Award winning. We have sung at least one song on Man vs. Meeple. But thank you very much for having me. And this is going to be a refreshing outlet to talk about things other than board games.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. I mean, normally we love to get together. We talk about board games every day, all day. So This is just a chance for some friends in the industry. We get together and talk about everything that's not board games. And this week, we're talking about Gamescom. Gamescom was last week, and they revealed tons of new games, updates on games that we know about that are coming. And we're going to take a moment. We're going to go around and we're all going to hit on a different game. We brought a few different ones that we want to talk about, and we'll show you some gameplay of each one of those and share our thoughts on our favorites from Gamescom. So to get this started, why don't we get it started with Marty? Marty, what's your first thing that you brought from Gamescom?
All right. So the first one is, did y'all see the trailer for, I'm saying this right, Dorfromantik?
Yeah. I've played Dorfromantik.
Have you not played Dorfromantik?
So I have not. And everybody has been saying how amazing it is. So it's coming to the Switch. Yeah. And now that it's coming to the Switch, I'm going to get to try it. Because I know when it first came out, a lot of my friends online were just gushing about this game. So I have never played it. And I didn't have a Steam Deck like, Nick has to be able to play it portably. And I thought this would be a great portable game. So have y'all two played it?
Yeah. It's probably the chillest game I've ever played. And honestly, I think the Switch is the perfect platform for it. It's going to live really well on the Switch, and I think it's going to do really well. I started playing this, I don't know, David, was it last year that early access? It wasn't out yet.
Yeah, it wasn't out yet, but there was a wave of people in the board game community that started playing it, and I'd caught wind of it, and I tried it. And you're right. It's a very zen sort of experience where you're just, it feels very much like a board game in many respects, but you're just expanding this world with hexes upon hexes, trying to kind of puzzle it together in ways where you can trigger bonuses and get more tiles, because it's kind of this stack of tiles, and it's a limited tile count. But as you do things in the game, it basically can add tiles to that stack. So as long as you can keep it going and get more tiles added to that stack, you can pretty much keep playing for a very long time. But my scores are awful.
You know who's good at it? Is Isaac Childress.
Yes, Isaac Childress is insane at it.
He destroyed, I think he broke the game. I think he did so well that he was talking with the developer at one point. But regardless, his city was so big, and it can just keep going. And that's kind of the cool part about it, though, is you can play it for as long as you want. The art style is super nice. Again, it's relaxing on all fronts, audibly and visually. And then it's a fun puzzle on top of that, Marty. I think you're really going to dig it.
Yeah, I look forward to that. For those who don't know, Isaac Childress is designer of a very popular board game called Gloomhaven. And in fact, it's also on Steam if you want to play a video game version of Gloomhaven. So you might have seen that out there too.
A good implementation.
Yeah.
What's your first one? My first one is going to be called Lies of P. Okay, so what Lies of P is, it's essentially, it's a classic tale of Pinocchio. And then you have, apparently, it says here in a description, play as Pinocchio and solve the mysteries and disaster that happened in the city of Krat. Now, the thing that really gets me is, one, it looks incredible. The graphics are fantastic on it. And it is like a Souls-like. I am a big fan of the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring style of games. And this falls in that category. It looks like a third-person action-adventure game, really dark and gritty. Now, it says Pinocchio, but this is a twisted version of Pinocchio with really monstrous-looking designs and bosses and stuff. I'm assuming it's going to be super challenging. And yeah, this one looks great. I don't know, did either of you guys see the trailer for this yet?
I saw it.
Yeah, I definitely saw it. They announced this a while ago with not much in the way of gameplay, but they definitely had more gameplay to show at Gamescom. And it was, it looks just like those games. In fact, if you took the sort of marionette aspect out of it, the world, or at least the levels that I saw, looked a lot like Bloodborne. Like, just looked straight out of Bloodborne, but with like puppety enemies and of course, the main character. Yeah, it looks good.
Yep. This one, yes, this was not announced at Gamescom, but a brand new gameplay trailer came out.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it has a release date yet or not. I did try to grab release dates if I saw them, but I didn't see one for this just yet. But I'm sure it's
PC and PC and PlayStation, Xbox.
Probably.
That sounds right.
I would think.
He brings the game to the show. He has to have all the information about it.
We come prepared. Yeah. No, I have the description, you guys. Yeah. It's coming soon. It's coming soon.
All right, there you go.
Is that can I say all of mine are coming soon? Because I am not that prepared.
No, you're fine. Yeah. All these games are not out yet. So all right. So David, what do you got?
All right. So I'm gonna lead off with the one that I'm most excited about. I'm looking at it right now across my monitors because I have a giant wallpaper of it. It's called Planet of Lana. This is a game, I don't know what these developers have done before, because I'd never heard of them. I want to say one of the developers called Wonderfully or something like that. And the game, have you ever played Inside or what was the first one that was like that, Matt? The Limbo.
Limbo was short. Inside was Limbo was great. Inside was only better, I thought. Yeah,
Inside and Limbo, those are from a different developer, but this has that same sort of like side-scrolling platformer puzzler sort of thing, but the world is beautiful, bright, and colorful, and your character has this little sort of, I don't know that it's a cat, but it has this like sort of little creature that goes along with you, and plays a major part in how you're going to be solving the puzzles, because you can, over the course of the game, learn, the cat can learn things, or the creature can learn things, so that you can sort of like stay there, I'm going to go over here, okay, then stand on that thing, and then it opens a door. There's a lot of that sort of like logic puzzle thing going on. Absolutely gorgeous, because the art style, while not very reminiscent of things like Miyazaki type films, it has that sort of just light spirited look to it that I am just absolutely in love with. I cannot wait. And this is coming. It is coming soon, but I know that it's 2023 that it's coming. So I cannot wait. This is easily my most anticipated game till the day I play it.
Multi-platform, do you know? Or is it platform specific?
So right now, it was only announced that I saw for Xbox and PC. And it was going to be a day one Game Pass game. Which I might have to bite the bullet and get Game Pass, which I don't have right now.
$10 a month, man. It's worth it. Just for the PC.
Game Pass is great.
I know. I don't play too much on my PC.
Sure.
But I do have an Xbox, so I might just fire that. It's got dust collecting on it right now, but
it's a great value for sure. Yeah. And this, you put this game on my radar. I missed the trailer for this.
Me too.
When you had mentioned it, I looked it up, and it's now on my radar as something that I'll definitely be getting. This is the style of game I really love, and we'll look forward to diving into.
Yeah, same here. I'm glad you pointed it out to me, because I totally missed it from that day. I'm so into puzzle games. And in fact, one of my favorite all-time games from the mid-90s was a side-scroller platformer. Did y'all ever play Lost Vikings?
Oh, yeah.
Which is like that side-scrolling platform puzzle game is right up my alley.
Yeah, good stuff.
And it does look gorgeous.
Can I make an interjection? This isn't one of my three, but can I interject based on something Marty just said?
Yeah.
Speaking of Vikings, there was a game announced that I saw very briefly called Vikings on Trampolines.
I saw that.
But I didn't watch the trailer.
I just watched this today. Did they not say it took them 20 years to make?
It's something like that. It's like 2 decades of development. Labor of love game. And they made this, and it's finally coming out. And it looks like this just silly, quick, fun sort of game. This is not a deep game. This is a game kind of a la, I don't know if you ever played Towerfall, but games like this where it's just like a few people on screen, and you're literally, all you're using is the stick to maneuver yourself and keep bouncing on these trampolines, bouncing into each other. So I'm guessing so that you bounce the other players so they don't land on a trampoline.
It's got a cute art style for sure.
Yes.
It looked neat, and it was from someone who, they had another game out too. I'll have to look up what else they did, unless you know.
No, I don't, but I couldn't think of that either, because it's a fairly big developer.
Yeah. I'm taking a look as we Vikings on Trampolines. I don't know.
I should have watched the the trailer for it because I thought that looks kind of interesting. Whatever.
I mean, there's not much going on, Marty, other than like the trailer is. Let me see if I can describe it. It's Vikings on trampolines.
Okay, there you go.
It says from the makers of Owlboy. So,
oh yes,
if you had played Owlboy, which I believe very small team, if not one person, like one of those very small teams that makes it. So yes, that it looks really cool. I'm glad you brought that up.
It's got a very 16-bit sort of vibe to it, Marty. The graphics,
yeah,
gotcha.
Very old school,
which is very popular nowadays. All right, so my next game is so y'all may not know this. One of my all-time favorite genres, going back 20 years, are RTSs. During the late 90s, 2000, early 2000, there was an RTS like dropping every other day, and then that genre just kind of poof, it just died. There's been a little bit of a resurgence recently. A few years back, Northgard came out, which I just absolutely love. And since y'all are into board games, a board game version of Northgard recently was just released, and I loved it. To me, it has a feel of kind of like an RTS. So anyway, one of the games I used to play a lot of, RTS style game, was Homeworld. And they're going to be coming out with Homeworld 3.
Yeah.
And the graphics on this just looks amazing. Even back then, the idea of sending things out into space and doing all these big aerial and space galactic attacks and everything just looked great. So I'm hoping this has the same feel of Homeworld 1 and 2. And that's not coming until like the first half of 2023. So it's a while away. But an outer space RTS, I'm all about bringing back the RTSs, and I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I have the Homeworld remastered collection on Steam right now, and if you haven't, if you're looking for something to like hold you over until that, they redid the graphics on the original, and it's still so good. It's neat because you play in a 3D space, right? Like as opposed to like a StarCraft or Warcraft where you're like top down, even Age of Empires. This is like you can spin you're in space, so you're like just working your way in 360 all around, and it's really fun. And to see your ships go in and do battle and stuff, I like it a lot. I'll be playing the new Homeworld as well.
Okay, no comment from David. All right, here we go.
I've always wanted to love RTSs.
You can't get into them,
but I suck at them.
Well, so do I.
I'm awful at.
We're not out here doing competitive StarCraft.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
Understand. No, okay, cool. So, Matt, what's your second game?
All right. This game was an announcement and a trailer from the developer of Subnautica. Now, for you guys that don't know, Subnautica is kind of an open world survival game based underwater where you're in again, kind of Minecraft-y where you're collecting and building and stuff. So the follow-up is, of course, a tactical miniatures battle game where you paint your own minis and fight on a battlefield. So it's a completely different direction, obviously, for the Subnautica devs, but it looks great. It's, again, I'm not into miniatures games myself. I think they're great. I just don't have the money for the hobby. I don't have the group around me. However, if I can get on, a virtual version of this and paint my group, the graphics look great. And I mean, it is the trailer is very tabletop-y. Like you're picking up your pieces and moving them around, but then they're animated, So did you guys see Moonbreaker? This looks really cool.
Oh yeah, I saw this thing, and I'm same with you, Matt. I'm not into miniatures games on the tabletop. I've always admired them, but for a lot of the same reasons you listed, I just haven't gotten into them. And I saw this. In fact, I heard some of the media outlets for video games talking about this one pretty significantly over the last few days, so I checked it out. And yeah, this seems like a story of a game developer who must spend all of their spare time playing miniatures games on their table.
Yeah, probably.
And they're just taking their passion for that. Effectively Warhammer-esque skirmish type combat where you're like building a team of like 3 to 5 miniatures against my team of 3 to 5 miniatures. But yeah, the fact that they've leaned so much into making it look like miniatures, like when you say animated, it was really mostly their effects and their attacks, but the miniatures themselves are fairly static. Just stay still. And then the painting aspect on top of it. I showed my son this. He had the same reaction you did. He was like, this is from the Subnautica people?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And to make it even, to put another layer on it, It's from Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
Who, so from the world of Brandon Sanderson and the dev team of Subnautica, here's a tabletop minis game for you in video game form. Marty, what do you think? Are you into minis games?
So yes, I am. So I've casually played miniatures games for about 12 years. So I love the whole painting aspect and everything like that. So I got into it. This is one of those things that I should love everything about this game. Mm-hmm. And I can't put my finger on why I don't love everything about it. I guess because I know that personally, they showed how much detail you could put into painting your figures. Like every surface of a figure can be rotated like a CAD almost object and rotated and paint and everything. It's like, I am not going to do that. And I hope they have some generic paint patterns where I can just say, do that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
But I just thought, man, y'all have really painstakingly go to recreate the painting thing. But now that you said that you've heard that one of the developers is really into miniatures games, that makes a whole lot more sense to me. Hey, look, here it is. If it is a really good tactical strategy game, I love those types of games. I will for sure want to try it. So yeah, count me in.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try it. And Marty, I do think the painting, while it does look like it's fairly detailed and you can do a lot, I mean, it even gets down to allowing you to shade and dry brush in the game. Which is
I can't wait. That's going to be great.
Which is insane. I definitely want to give it a go.
Yeah, I'll try it. Yeah, and you're right, Marty. Like, will I sit down and paint a whole army? I don't know. It's probably as much effort as I have when I paint in real life. But at the same time, again, check out the trailer. Take a look at this. It's called Moonbreaker and coming soon. Yeah. So let's move on. David, you must have something else.
I do. I said I only had a couple before we started recording, and now they're all flooding.
They're all flying in.
The next one I want to talk about, you guys mentioned Northgard earlier, Marty. You like that. The next game I have is the developers said they were half inspired by Northgard, and they're former CD Projekt Red guys, so they're also mixing in the world and the dark fantasy of The Witcher. And this game is called Gord. And it is
I have not heard of this. Keep talking to me.
It's a full-blown like strategy adventure game, but you have this tiny, tight-knit community that you start with out in the middle of nowhere, and you're building a tiny little village. And it kind of has these RTS type qualities. But you're going on adventures, and all the people, from what I could tell, all the people that you have in your village, they're people, like each individuals. So it's not like you're creating a bunch of like warriors that are nameless to go out. So it brings in have you ever played? I know you guys have played XCOM. Mm-hmm. So you know how like when one of your guys dies in XCOM, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like he was one of my.
Yeah. Marty just died.
Exactly. It feels like it brings that, but you're building all these different things in your village. Things will happen where like, oh, we've got to go out and the wolves. There was a wolf attack out here, so you literally send a group out, and then the combat when they're out there looked fascinating because you're walking out there in real time, kind of like a RTS, clicking on them as a group and sending them in a direction. But then when stuff went sideways, you can click on something, it pauses, and you can click on a person and quickly sort of like tactically send this guy over here to flank, this guy over here, and have these guys go in and attack. And it had this like combination. It wasn't like turn-based, but it wasn't real time. It was somewhere in between. It looked awesome. And it was super dark. The village you're creating, you have to manage not only its everything that's going on like you would in a normal city builder, but it also has like a faith meter and a sanity meter. And some really weird, creepy stuff starts happening. It looks good. And plus CD Projekt Red, like former people from there, like feel like you can't go wrong.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess you can.
So long as they're not making it cyberpunk.
As you were talking, I watched, it looks like the first reveal trailer was back in 2021. So it looks like this has been planned for a while. It
was, but that trailer is like mostly cinematic. Mm-hmm. At Gamescom, there is a video out there that exists that's like 16 minutes of gameplay. That's just raw gameplay. You got to take a look at it because it is fascinating.
No, I've looked at it. Dang, Dave, we need to have you more often. I didn't know about this one either. I am all in for this.
Yeah,
this
it looks.
You got Marty.
good.
The hype meter's up on Marty now. He's ready.
Yes,
Gord just shot up there.
The setting looks great. It almost looks like it reminds me of Neverwinter Nights. The way you're moving somebody around looks very dark.
Is that kind of like yeah? Okay. Does it play like that? Like,
I don't think it plays like that. But the combat,
I'm just saying the look.
The movement was really unique. I definitely want to get it in my hands and feel it. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. Some of the developers are also from the people who did Frostpunk, that game that was on Steam.
Oh, yeah, that was really good. I mean, super
popular.
Depressing, but yeah, very good.
Yeah, so it's got a very good pedigree of team behind it. So we'll see.
Gord. Adding to the wish list, man. That's a good one.
All right, after Gord, Marty, what do you got? Anything else?
All right. So, yeah, my last one actually was not announced at Gamescom, but as Gamescom was going on, Nintendo did a Treehouse Direct and showed off gameplay of Harvestella, which I have been very interested in, from Square Enix, which is a mixture of Stardew Valley and a JRPG. So you play as a character that's trying to basically build up your village, you're planting, you're harvesting stuff, but you're also going out, creating a party, and going and fight in the wilderness with the goal of trying to collect more resources to come back and put into your gardens and stuff and everything in your village.
Yeah, that sounds cool. And it looks cool. And again, being from Square, I'm in. I'm ready. I'm lined up.
So it looks like the way Dave was looking at me, he has not heard that one before.
No, I was, well, the look was more of trying to figure out how it was spelled so I could look it up and look at it, but I'd never heard of it before.
Harvestella, yeah.
Oh, Harvestella. Okay.
Yeah, like Harvest Moon.
Okay. I was way off.
Harvestella. Ooh, I went blurry. I'm back.
Yeah. So anyway, Nintendo showed off some gameplay of that. Very interested in that. That is coming out later this year. So that's a 2022 release.
We got a game this year.
Nice.
That's right.
Maybe.
Baby.
Hopefully.
Nah, that's coming. That's coming. All right. My last one is one that, again, I'd never heard of. There was a Gamescom trailer for it. It was the reveal of it. So it hadn't been announced prior to this. And it is called Phantom Hellcat. This is created by studio Ironbird Creations. And essentially, this is coming to consoles and PC. And this looks like a hybrid 3D action game, but also switches to 2D. Reminds me of a bunch of different kind of games like this. Have you guys seen this Phantom Hellcat trailer yet? But it's so stylish and it looks really cool.
Yeah, it oozes style, and like the 2D, I don't know what the 2D plays like, but it kind of looks like, any sort of 2D Castlevania or that sort of experience. But then the 3D, and then it goes full, Platinum games from Japan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a Platinum game.
Yeah,
it looks like this insane,
it totally
crazy
goes,
Devil May Cry type combat game.
You're absolutely right. Devil May Cry is what I was going to say, or like Bayonetta, where it just awesome combos. And so I wonder, and I'm curious if the 2D is just the platforming running, and then when you encounter enemies, it switches to 3D. The trailer doesn't make it super clear. But
I could get behind that because I love the idea of doing 2D for puzzle platforming.
Yeah. But
then switching over to something like that. Although I will say those sort of Bayonetta style games are not generally my cup of tea. It's too, I'm awful at them and it's too intense, but this did look cool. And I love the style that it was given off for sure.
Yeah. So that's Phantom Hellcat. And that's another one that's coming soon. Don't know when. David, did you have anything else to add?
I have one more. I have barely anything to say about it. It's a game called Everywhere.
Okay.
Because there's nothing to say about it. That was the weirdest tease ever. So, it's like, hey, this is Everywhere. What is it?
Yeah, who knows? And I think so here I've got a little bit of a story. I believe if I'm not incorrect, some of the team behind this are people that used to be at Rockstar. I want to say it's the Hauser brothers, or at least one portion of the Hauser brothers involved in it.
Okay.
I have mixed feelings about the Hauser brothers, but that aside, they do make good games. There's no denying that they can make some good games. And this game, the cool thing about the reveal, I thought, Marty, was the fact that it was okay, this sort of very video gamey looking thing. There's like dune buggy things driving through very abstract graphics, which I kind of dug. And then at the end of the trailer, it went to very, very realistic graphics. And I'm wondering if this, like so many anime, is going to be one of those things where like there's a real world and then there's this game world that people from the real world are playing, but we're playing both of those things. They piqued my interest. I mean, that marketing of like putting out some bizarre tease, it worked on me because I'm like, oh, I kind of want to know more about this.
Yeah.
It was interesting. What do you think, Marty? Did you see it?
I'm the same way. It was like, oh, where's this going? And then it kind of ended. Yeah, I was like, okay, this doesn't look that great with the dune buggies and everything. And then it went to that very realistic. I was like, is this the same game? I'm very confused. And then Jeff Keighley's like, what's going on? The developer says, hey, stay tuned. You'll find out more.
Yeah, that was the thing with the guy on stage. He's just like, you haven't seen half of what we're probably showing yet, right? Like, he definitely led on to that there's way more to unlock here and what's behind that. So
I will say this does reek of a game that may never happen also. Like it feels like it sounds like it's this big, huge, ambitious thing, and we'll see if it ever comes to pass.
Well, before we get out of here, we always like to wrap up this with a 3 and out, where each of us tells something that they're playing or they've watched over the past week that they want to share with us. David, since you are our guest, what would you like to share with us? That
I will. I haven't been playing too many video games, but just this weekend, I downloaded a game I think that dropped last week called Midnight Fight Express.
It's on Game Pass.
Oh, is it on Game Pass?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I should have gotten Game Pass.
So I just saw it on Game Pass, yeah.
I bought it for $20 on PlayStation
You could have
5.
That's 2 months of Game Pass.
Okay.
Go on.
Can I disconnect? So I played this thing, and it's it's an isometric view, and the graphics are pretty sort of blocky in a very charming way, right? But the animations are really good, and this is kind of an isometric take on games like Streets of Rage or Final Fight, where you're just going from place to place and just, there's a bunch of guys.
Yeah. Is it multiplayer?
It is not multiplayer. Not that it doesn't. No, I doubt it. Okay. Based on my experience thus far, it doesn't feel like it would be. It's one of those things, though, where you're trying to get through a level, and then at the end of the level, you're graded, and there's a bunch of character progression where you can purchase and unlock all sorts of like new moves and counters and stuff like that, and you get graded to some degree on the variety of ways you take people out. But it's doing things that I didn't expect. Like you can pick up just about anything as a weapon. There's all these context sensitive, like you can buy abilities where if you're near a trash can and you do a finisher, he actually uses like some sort of trash can finisher or things like that. It's a lot of fun. It's a silly little game, but it's a great game to before dinner, blow off 10 minutes and play it and get in and get out.
So would you call it a beat 'em up style game?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay. But it is a different take on it for sure, because it's this isometric view. And it's very technical. So unlike Streets of Rage, where you're kind of just button mashing to some degree, it is very technical. Have you played the Arkham City games? Like, Batman?
Yes.
The combat
feels like that.
Feels exactly like that.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
But in a different perspective.
Yeah, in a different viewpoint. Well, I'll go download it.
Yeah, for free. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah.
Well, not free exact.
What have you been doing, Marty?
All right, so it's kind of a special day for me because we're recording this on August 28th, 2022, which is the exact 10-year anniversary of Guild Wars 2. And that is one of my all-time favorite games. And on release day 10 years ago, I took the day off. I went to the midnight release, got my collector's edition, and pretty much just played Guild Wars 2 all day long. And to commemorate, a new expansion just came out. I've been playing throughout the year, but I spent time today just sitting in front of my computer playing Guild Wars 2. It's been a fantastic game for me for the past 10 years, and they've already announced a future expansion, so it's going to be around for many, many more. So happy 10th anniversary to ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2.
Oh man, that's super nice. Happy anniversary. It's a great game. I had many years with that game myself. I thought it was awesome. Went into from the first one into the second one. They had a unique model for the MMO. I remember when it first came out, they were free to play, and everyone at the time was doing charge monthly. But it was set up differently. We're different hubs and stuff, and I put a lot of time in the Guild Wars. I think that's awesome.
That is cool. I never got into Guild Wars, but I'm a World of Warcraft guy, or I was once upon a time.
And that's what took me away from it, to be honest with you, was World of Warcraft. Like I played many of MMOs before World of Warcraft, and then that one for a long time.
And I was the flip. So I was heavy into World of Warcraft, and Guild Wars came out about 8 months later. And I just love the idea. Wait a minute, I pay for the game once and never have to pay a monthly subscription. Blizzard cancel. So
I'll tell you, Final Fantasy 14 online is very good too. If you're
there you go.
Oh wow.
All right, so on to me. I have just finished, I think, kind of Live Alive on the Switch. I wrapped it all up. There's a lot of endings in this game.
Oh,
and Marty, where are you at? I'm not going to spoil anything here as far as, because
I'm at the very end of near future, and I still have present day and Western to play.
I got you. Okay.
You guys are speaking a different language to me all of a sudden.
Have you not heard of Live Alive?
I vaguely heard of it, but I can't even picture it at all when you say the name.
Let's rewind just a little bit. Live Alive is it was an old SNES RPG, so think like Chrono Trigger. It looked like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. Okay.
But they re-released it. Never had a US release. It was Japan only, but it was really well received, and people really liked this game. So when they brought it over here, they just released it on Switch like last month. It's fairly new. They gave it the 2D HD treatment where it looks like Octopath Traveler.
Oh my gosh, I love that look.
Triangle Strategy, where it's the pixels but really nice looking backgrounds. Yeah. And the story is that there's these 6 I believe it's 6 or 7 or something like that, where there's these stories, and each one's about 2 to 3 hours, and they all take place in different time periods. And so you play this RPG in all these different time periods with different main characters, and then trying to figure out if they all link up or not near the end is, that's where I'm at. And and I'm just gonna say this because I'd love to do a full review on this, Marty. I really think like if you wrap this up, I mean, especially had this game come out in the US, it would be as well regarded as a Chrono Trigger or a Final Fantasy.
Really?
Like, yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind, because it did things. It has done things post those stories that I've never seen in RPGs before. It's really,
I need to grind it out.
You got to go through,
baby.
You have got to get through it so that we can talk about it, because it goes places that I had never thought it would.
Is this turn-based? Is this good old-fashioned, or is?
Yeah, kind of. It is. It's turn-based, real time, where like they have a little timer bar, and they'll go as soon as their timer bar's up.
Oh, they will. Okay.
So it's not exactly turn-based, but it's more of a top-down. It's not top-down, but it's like an isometric view and a grid, and you can move around. So kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics, but in a turn-based style. I'd probably go watch a trailer of it.
I'm definitely going to. I might have to dust off my Switch and get it.
Totally should. And come back for the review. Like,
hey, there you go.
24 hours was how long it took me to see a couple of the different endings. I still have one more to go. I got to see them all. I've had to go online to start to be like, what didn't I do to make this happen? And that's how deep this game has gotten into me at this point, where I'm like, man, this was great. So Live Alive, I highly recommend if you have a Switch and you're looking for something, classic RPG wise.
Cool.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, David, thank you so much for coming on, man.
It's awesome to have you.
This has been a blast.
It was a blast. I really appreciate you having me. I love talking video games. I can do it all day long.
Well, then it sounds like we need to have you on again in the future.
Let me know.
Yeah, that'd be a blast. And like I said, hey, you know what? If this week you say, guys, I bit the bullet and bought Live Alive, you can crunch through that thing. I think Nick's playing it too.
Nick is playing it. He hasn't finished it yet, though, so there's some time. So we can get together and
I'm going to do some research tonight. And I promise if you haven't me on again, I'll do something about this dark cave that I'm living in.
I like the dark cave.
I like it. I think it looks good.
Get a little better look on.
I like it. All right, so everybody who's watching, hey, if you liked what you saw here today, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe and share us if you'd like to. Once again, I've been Marty Matt with special guest David on 3 on 3. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.